It was like way faster. Anyway.
Clock and time.
um, right.
Oh
So
man.
yeah, I actually have to keep my blood sugar up lately. So that's like a a new thing that we're finding out.
Oh, that
Um,
sucks.
well, it's actually good news because
Right.
I'm on a medication that's regulating my thyroid.
Hmm.
And if my blood sugar is in check, sorta, it seems to be keeping my seizures from happening. So if my seizures don't happen, I'm in a good mood mostly. So
No, I get
because I
that.
didn't know what was causing them at all before that.
Jesus, yeah, my mom, she was diabetic. She had epilepsy, so believe me, I understand all that. And then she had fibromyalgia. Like she was just a wreck. But she passed away a little bit after COVID, and it was just one of those things where it's like it's sad, but it's like she is no longer suffering because it was like a lot for her to handle. So it just became such a mess, such a mess. But I'm
Hmm.
glad you're getting everything well underway and getting your health in check because that's extremely important. So,
It was it was a little over 5 years now of partial seizures that was like derailing almost everything.
what kind
So
was it? Was it like full on, grand mal type, or was it just stare into space kind of?
I I forget which specific type. I think they said focal
Okay.
seizures.
Hmm.
So what would happen to me though, because I can describe the symptoms pretty easily that
Right.
happened to me or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I it was kind of I could talk through them, but it was a little difficult. I would have like a pretty severe brain fog going on for like the minute or two it was happening. I would have to like take a knee, lean against something or whatever, um, covered in goosebumps. I would be like sweaty everywhere,
Mm.
like every pore of my body. Um, and I would have like a flashback to something like a childhood dream I had, like not even something super tangible. It would be, yeah, like a dream I had, even maybe the night before. Um, so even when someone asked me to describe the flashback, I'd be like, I don't know, like it's weird.
I
It
remember it,
was,
but I can't describe it for you. So
yeah.
you're
I'd be
like,
like, the flashback is a dream I had about the Halloween ride at Disneyland. um,
holy shit, that is so fucked.
and then another one would be like another symptom is I'd have like random taste in my mouth or a
Mhm.
smell
Yep.
um,
Oh yeah.
that just wasn't there.
Mhm.
Not always the same thing, but just something intense out of nowhere.
Yep.
And I worked in the food industry for a long time. So if I'm trying to cook, that just makes that real difficult. I'm just trying to work with food and I just don't want it near me. I'm just like, oh, I can't deal with this right now.
Right. Have you ever had to
So,
deal with like one of those episodes while you're cooking and you're like, somebody grab this hot pot or pan and I'm about to fall out, like one of those situations?
oh, it was all the time. I had to just work around it. There was, um, there were plenty of times where I would just like zone out and walk in a straight line with some of those things because I can still hold stuff, but I would warn people like, "Hey, I'm having a seizure," like go into robot voice, sort of,
Oh, bro.
and kind of like dissociate.
Oh, yeah.
And I could sort of like get through it on autopilot, but it sucked, and
Yeah.
it was super dangerous as well. Like I shouldn't have been doing that probably. Um, and then there were times where I was like, oh no, this is too much. I got to put this down. I might throw up or something. Which sometimes it's so bad that I do throw up, and like I'll get like nauseous or crazy things like that.
That's fucked.
Um,
How does it affect
so
your driving?
well, actually, that's another part of that. So that's another aspect is that for a long time, uh, I would go on autopilot and go like, okay, I'm a pretty good driver, so I know how to react and let me just make sure I have three cars ahead of me for sure while this is happening. I'm going to get real careful. I'm going to get out of the fast lane probably if I can, and so on. All those things. And
Mhm.
then if it's real dangerous, I'll pull over and so on. But last year, it's been almost a full year now, but last year, April 22nd or 23rd,
Mhm.
um, I had taken a day off of work because, for one, my seizures had gotten real severe for I would get them in clusters, so it'd be like a week of them, and then like a week or two off of seizures, and then a week of them on, and then some time off. Anyway, it was on right then, so I'd had quite a few. And then I had like a shitty day at work. There's this dude that was just really annoying, and I was a butcher for this like high end catering company, and he would be like, cut the chicken breast this size, and I'd be like, okay, and then he'd show me. I'm like, can you show me a piece here, and I'd put it aside secretly.
Mm-hmm.
I start cutting pieces, and he'd be like, "That's the wrong size," and I'd be like, "That's the piece you cut."
But
And I'd
right.
show him because I hid that piece over here.
Yeah.
It was one of those days, and
Yeah.
so I had just a very annoying day at work, so I called in the next day, and me and my girlfriend were like, "Let's go up and have lunch up in the mountains," and I'm taking the day off work because I'm having seizures, so I'm
Mhm.
stressed out. I haven't eaten very well, so let's go like take ourselves out for lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
And then this is one of the important parts. Hey, do you want to drive today? And she goes, yeah, I'll drive. Anyway, we're like halfway up the mountain, and I start having a pretty bad seizure where all the symptoms are happening. I get all sweaty, the flashback, the goosebumps everywhere, and then my hands and feet start going numb, and then I start feeling like I need to take a nap, and then I just kind of nodded off,
Yeah. Mhm.
and then I woke up, and Samantha's kind of like breathing really fast and like panicking, and she's just looking for a place to turn around or pull over.
Of course.
And I'm like, no, 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 the restaurant's that way. I'm just kind of tired. and,
She's freaking like, no,
and
no, no.
she's like,
Turn.
you have no clue what just happened, do you? And I was like, yeah, I had an episode, whatever. Like it's been happening for,
It's on my life.
5 years basically. Whatever. It's another one. Let's go eat.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, no, no. And she told me like she's like, you went full unconscious and had the real kind where you peed your pants and you were frothing at the mouth and all of the stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I didn't. I just you know I had one and then I took a nap for a while. I figured we were almost there or something like that. And then I started piecing it together that we weren't very far from where like the episode had happened and stuff. And then like that all kind of came together. I started realizing like, oh Jesus, like this is, yeah, she's not kidding. And so we went to the ER, and then the ER immediately tells the DMV about seizures and things of that nature. So they revoked my license pretty quickly. I was working in Irvine and I live in Ukaipa. So like there goes commuting every day and
Mhm.
my license. So that threw pretty much a huge curveball and all that. And now I just don't drive pretty much. Uh,
Damn.
I'm a pretty good driver, but I just don't. And
When I'm not
then,
having a
yeah,
seizure, I'm an excellent driver. So,
yeah.
damn. Yeah.
And I think there's a certain amount of time. I believe it's either 18 or 24 months you're supposed to go without a seizure before you're allowed to drive again, which seems pretty sound logically. And I don't think I should have even been driving having those partial seizures if I'm to be fully honest.
Yep.
However, it looks like now, with my thyroid being figured out, we might have kind of the source. It's not just my thyroid, it's probably my thyroid working with one other thing that we're not completely sure what it is yet.
Sure.
But with that being regulated, we're like, oh, that feels better, like having less. And once that's figured out, I might be kind of back on track here, be able to drive, get a job again, which would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Music is great, but doesn't pay all the bills. So
No, definitely
we'll
not.
get there.
God damn.
Um,
That's crazy, dude. Fucking intense.
oh
So,
yeah, it's been absolutely wild. Yeah, having seizures up on stage is crazy.
does it add to the
Having
performance?
oh yeah, totally. Yeah, people think I'm like doing something cool during
Yeah.
like a Meatbird show, and
Like
I'm
Ian
like, this
Curtis.
isn't cool. I'm about to start crying. Like,
Oh my God. That's wild, man. That's and do you feel like having to go with deal with those type of situations like really kind of gives you fuel for your creativity, or does it feel like it just gets in the way?
uh, it is fuel. It's
Okay.
almost well, no, not quite actually.
Okay.
The fuel's already there.
Mhm.
And it hasn't ever really gone away. It's more that it adds more layers and complexity to what was already there.
Right.
Um it gives me a bit of an edge almost. Um, in the way that my eyes are opened to some new stuff. I get to have flashbacks to my childhood and like hallucinations and stuff like firsthand all the time without taking drugs and things of that nature. It just happens to me against my will. So like it's sort of like a cheat code to writing cooler songs, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the songwriting wasn't going anywhere,
Yeah.
but of course I'm gonna have some another interesting layer if I'm having some weird stuff happening during my seizures. Sometimes I there's a little part of me that worries about them getting fixed, and then my songs getting a little boring.
Right.
I get a little paranoid about that every now and then, where I'm just like, oh man, like maybe I shouldn't fix them, but I have to though.
Right. For your
I
health.
guess I have to fix my seizures.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I think a lot of people kind of go through that whole like, well, my emotions fueled my, my creativity, and if I go to therapy, then it's going to fix things, and then all of a sudden I don't have that creativity, that thing that I can look into and go, okay, but I think that's just kind of like a, like a, it's not, I don't think that you should see that as a crutch. I think you're just creative
No.
all around, and I think people often be like, oh, if it wasn't for LSD, Jimi Hendrix went. I was like, no, I think the creativity is always there.
And it's not like you forget it once you go through it.
Right.
It doesn't go anywhere.
No, definitely not. What was it like for you growing up? Like, give people kind of a background on growing up, and the what you were listening to, and what eventually, why you got interested in music in the first place.
Um my my mom my mom and dad were Mormon.
Hmm.
Uh so we were in the Mormon church growing up.
In
They were
California?
divorced kind of early. Yeah, California.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They were divorced real early. I think, too young to remember that type of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and then my mom remarried when I was 4,
Hmm.
um, to another Mormon,
Yeah.
basically. My dad has been a DJ since the 80s,
Whoa.
basically. I want to say the early 80s, even maybe earlier when he was just messing around,
Was it like
doing
radio, or
like a
was
school
it?
dance,
Oh, school dance radio. Okay.
like live stuff. He does events. He's probably doing something tonight, to be honest. Uh, he sometimes brags to me. He's like, I'm gonna make over 100K this year, and I'm like, so cool,
Good for you.
because he'll do weddings and some cool corporate events, and then he does like hiking tours and stuff now. But yeah, he's been DJing since the 80s. It's been something adjacent to the music stuff I've always done. Um, and then my mom's always done like a handful of different things. I have a lot of siblings. I have 4 siblings with my biological mom, and then a couple of half siblings on the other side. uh, my stepdad he worked in an orthodontics lab and then became a law enforcement officer.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, Mormon church with kind of a weird mix of jobs in a way.
Yeah.
And then we were also living on a farm in 4-H, with like animals and stuff,
Yeah.
learning some pioneer stuff. My stepdad's mom, I guess my step grandma,
Mhm.
um, she was very much um, kind of convinced that she knew when the world was going to end.
Wow.
She was is a hardcore Zionist. She knows, she thinks she knows when all these wars and the second coming and so on. She's published a book on this and so on. It was wrong, but she's a very weird eye rolling person.
I get that.
I remember,
I grew up in a weird church family like that, where in the midst of the satanic panic, and my dad used to read a lot of that, like Revelations type stuff, and really believed it to the T, and it was just like,
yeah,
oh, yeah. So I totally get it. So
I remember at the age of 14, her sitting me down face to face, like describing in detail the day that we were going to invade Palestine. And she had this like gleam in her eye and how excited she was. And I didn't know history or politics at the time. I was so like young. And I was like, I don't want to invade Palestine. What? Like, I didn't know anything. And I still, like, I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to
Like,
I don't want to be
I don't want to
part
be a
of
part of
that.
that at
Like,
all.
yeah, you're
I
14.
didn't
You're
know
like,
a single,
I'm not even
right.
interested. Like, why are you telling me
Yeah.
this?
It was wild. And so my stepdad, he has a better like kind of viewpoint on all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Still had kind of a lens of like wanting to learn uh how to come out of an apocalyptic event
sure.
kind of on top slightly. So we were still learning uh how to milk goats and things of that nature, which I still think is pretty cool.
Of course.
um so I know how to ride horses and how to build I know how to thatch a roof on a cottage and stuff like that.
Right. So you were kind
Which
of
is a
learning
sort of interesting skill.
like self-survival type situation when you're in the farm where it's like how can we if anything goes down, how can we kind of take care of ourselves?
Yeah, and I still feel like one day I would kind of want to use some of those skills. My retirement plan is to kind of have a little farm one day.
Of course. That
um
would be great.
it'd be really cool. um but that was sort of my upbringing. I up until I was about um legal to move out, I was, yeah, learning how to do farm and stuff, and that sort of thing. And my siblings too.
Yeah. And
um
it comes in handy, of course. You know, it's not like one of those like useless tools, but believe me, it's like when you learn these things, it's like you can translate them into other situations, and it's really neat to have that type. You know, I wish I would have grown up in the farmland, which is weird because I live out in the Midwest, right in farmland
mhm,
country, but I was a trailer park boy, so you know.
right. And we're animals are great.
Oh yeah,
I've always loved animals.
oh yeah, horses,
um
goats, shit like that.
I got a couple cats, and I set up this little cat thing behind me,
Yeah.
and she's like totally ignoring it. So
They do
whatever.
that. It's
I
like
was
if you
trying
have
to
a
get her in the
box,
video.
they end up going towards that rather than the thing. You're like, I
Yeah,
got you a gift, and they're just like, and they'll go to this other thing that you got.
I was trying to cutesy up the video, and it didn't even
No,
work.
you're good.
Um,
But yeah, tell me about music. Like when you got into.
yeah. So obviously, yeah, I was going to DJ gigs like when I was like 5 onward. Because yeah, my dad would pick me up for weekends and so on. And he would have a Saturday night where he's like, "Well, you're coming with me on a DJ job," and it would be, you know, in the at a Mormon event sometimes or whatever. And I would just, you know, I didn't know how things were getting plugged in or anything, but I was watching. This is how one person kind of controls a room a little bit. It was interesting.
Oh, sure.
From a young age. At about, it was maybe 2 months before I turned 8, and that's, you get baptized into the Mormon church when you turn 8 years old. My mom started me in piano lessons. So I started learning kind of classical piano, actually a lot of ragtime and blues piano,
That's
um, along with a little bit of like some modern stuff
yeah.
mixed in. So I'm okay with sheet music. I got just tired of it because once
You know
I
the
got a
basics.
guitar, I was like, "Oh, this is so boring." And I got a guitar, and I was like, "Oh, I don't have to read this anymore." But I like get it. It's just it takes me a second. I can't just read it and play it like some people can, but I can read it and then go, "Okay, cool, I get it." Like,
You got to run through it like real quick and like, okay, I got it. Like you know.
right. So like, yeah, it's not fluent like that. Um, but it's nice. It's a handy little thing to have in the back pocket.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the next one was drums after piano, but that was an interesting one because after school I would go over to a friend's house for a couple hours because I believe my mom was tied up at a job until 4 or 5,
Sure.
and then she would pick me up from that friend's house. We'd go home, and he had drum lessons right after school, and so I would be like peeking over his shoulder, kind of
Check in the
watching,
background. Yeah.
and I'd have like a couple pencils in my hand or something like that, or like something along those lines. And then I would like go home and, you know, I'd draw. I remember drawing circles on some paper or whatever. A lot of people, you hear the story about pots and pans and stuff. There was no way I would have been allowed to like bang on pots and pans at my house. It just, I was way too scared. I wouldn't have gotten away with it. So I had erasers and paper basically. It was
Yep.
the notepad had enough bounce to it to
Wow.
where
I've never heard that before. That is so new. That's great.
um my friend Java that he so Java plays drums in Happy and Hemet and he plays bass in Meatbird. We've been playing music side by side for like well over 15 years now.
Wow.
Um he pointed out to me, he's like, you always like flail around when you play drums every now and then. And I was realizing that I'm not used to rebound on drums because whenever I practice, it's because I never practice on things that have rebound.
Yeah.
It's always stupid things that are not drums. And I'm used to just forcing it.
Yeah. Just,
And so it's
yeah.
just all physical.
That's awesome.
Um, it's like an old habit that I never got rid of, I think.
Muscle memory you can't get rid of.
Yeah, and I don't play drums very often. It just happens to be the second one that I learned. I play guitar probably the most often. That's the third one,
Mhm.
and that's probably the one I'm best at and most well known for, I guess.
All your projects, yeah.
The the first, I guess, big ish band I was in, um, it was called the Red Level. I was maybe like 20 when that one kind of got going.
Hmm.
Um, we were kind of around Riverside, and it was at times a little bit plastic. We were fine doing like pay to play shows. We played at House of Blues and stuff,
Oh
but
wow.
like it was one of those ones where like you have to sell this many tickets and so on. And we kind of bought in and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's cool to be able to brag that like my buddy took a shower backstage at House of Blues, but
Great
also,
venue, yeah.
uh,
That would be like neat, just like, oh, just that experience to be up on stage to kind of share that would be like, okay, this, I had to deal with the bullshit, but at least I can be on stage and go, hey, I played the House of Blues. Like,
and some of my friends and family are never going to forget that. Like
right.
they brag about it to other people and so on.
Yeah.
And I still, there's pictures of me like hanging up, and
That's
it's
cool.
still a point of pride for myself
Of
and
course.
so on.
Yeah.
At the same time too, it was a Tuesday night. It wasn't packed full of people, but yeah, it was cool.
It's still a great
And there were
memory.
some shows we played where it was completely packed and it was absolutely wild. Um, but yeah, it was like kind of a pop punk, like skate ish type thing. It was a good time. Uh, a little bit emo, Blink 182 type deal.
It was whatever
Um,
was around at that time where you're kind of pulling influence from what was.
exactly.
I get that.
The furthest we had kind of gone was like the battle to get into Warp Tour.
Mm,
We had moved on like a round or two. We got a little far with that, and that
mhm.
was pretty cool. And that band just sort of slowly fizzled out.
Yep.
Um, and then I was kind of just bouncing around. After that, I ended up joining a band called Magpie,
Hmm.
um, also on guitar, but they sort of found out they're like, "How many instruments do you play?" And I was like, "Well, a couple," because they'd heard about the piano and the drums and a couple other things. Back in high school, I had also we had done this little acoustic thing for a talent show.
Hmm.
I had found out a friend of mine had a cello
Oh wow.
that he didn't know how to play.
Hmm.
And so I taught it to myself so I could teach him how to play cello so he could play cello while I was playing guitar.
Wow.
And
That's
they were
cool.
like, "You kind of know a little cello?" And I was like, "A little bit," and some other stuff.
You're in there, yeah.
Um,
I dabble.
and yeah, just like some other random things. And so we just became good buddies because of that sort of thing.
That's cool.
Uh, anyway, Magpie became Bold Villain later because we had thought about changing the name and some other whatnots. And Bold Villain's coincidentally playing uh, tonight. What's tonight? March 21st.
March 21st, yeah.
This will come out
Yeah, this will come
probably
out.
after March
Do you,
21st, but we're
you say side
playing
note, do
more
you have
soon.
any other shows coming up that you want to talk about? At least
I
kind of.
believe April 18th, Bold Villain's playing again.
Okay.
Um, I'm real excited because it's a mixed genre show
Oh, cool.
of like ska and some heavy bands and whatnot. And Bold Villain is this kind of blues, hard rock, garagey, folky thing
Yeah.
with my friend Cody sings some of the most complex lyrics. That's why I love being in that band.
That's so
One
cool.
of my favorite parts of that band is his vocals
That's
for a couple reasons. Um, but yeah, April 18th for that one. And then off the top of my head, it's actually real quiet right now.
cool.
Happy and Hemet is, we're getting ready to finish writing a lot. We're getting ready to record and finishing up quite a few songs. Um, reason being, this actually might be the last thing,
Wow.
with a few shows attached to it.
Hmm.
Happy and Hemet's been going on
For a
around two
while.
decades,
Yeah.
um, which is kind of nuts.
Hmm.
it, it had a different name before that.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been friends with them for longer. I've been in the band, but I've almost been in the band 6 years myself.
Man.
Um, and I became friends with them, yeah, about 15 years ago. It's crazy to think how long it's been a band. Another thing too, Meatbird started
Hmm.
about 12 years ago, about 12 or 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, that was around the time I joined Magpie. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm getting on a
Oh,
tangent
you're
here.
good. Yeah. So let's go back. So Magpie turned into Bold Villain, and
Yes.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, Bold Villain has put out a couple albums
Hmm.
with me. That's pretty we collaborate really well. That's a good, there's
Good.
good gel there. We've been shuffling members around a little bit. Our singer Renell, they had a good dual vocal thing going for one album.
Oh, wow.
Um, but she moved out to the desert a little far. She was just kind of making some changes in her life and whatnot, and they're going pretty well.
Sure.
But we lost kind of a thing that we're like, oh, we got to adjust some dynamics here.
Yeah.
And now I think we've found like our new transformation. So we're getting ready to. This is like the butterfly coming back out of the cocoon or whatever here. So it should be cool. And then there's nothing keeping Renell out of joining us up with us again. So that should be pretty fun if she ever wanted to come back. Door's always open. She might not. No biggie.
That's awesome.
We're always friends. We talk all the time and whatnot. And then yeah, Meatbird. That's that one also. If we finish this, the next album is a two-parter,
Hmm.
and it's huge. Um, it's
Barbecue
five
sauce?
songs each.
Aren't you guys
What's
working
that?
on barbecue sauce?
Oh, we're working on hot sauce. It's
Hot
actually
sauce. That's
done
what it was.
already. Uh, I'm just actually waiting on the labels for it.
Oh,
Um, it's finished. It's been aging for a year.
ooh.
Um, and the bottles are here waiting for the stickers. It's
That's
it's like a charred pineapple chipotle thing.
oh wow.
Um, and it's just been sitting in jars for either 12 or 13 months. My friend Ray and I, we met working at Tia Carmen over in Indian Wells,
Yeah.
which is like the restaurant inside the Hyatt
Hmm.
over there, kind of a fancy place.
Cool.
He just came over and we were like just messing around, and we had ended up with like almost a gallon of it. And I was like, oh, we gotta end up doing something with this, I guess.
Yeah. Cool.
So we're like, okay, we'll just brand it and put my band sticker on it, and maybe we could sell it.
Sell it at shows with the album.
Yeah. And then also like the last, yeah, I think the last merch that Meatbird made was condoms
There you
with
go.
our logo on the front of the condom. So we we haven't made conventional merch anyway. This is on brand for us. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I always
Um,
wanted to make a like a pill caddy, like with
oh
my
yeah,
band on it. And then like I
that's
always
good.
wanted one that was like a like it looked like it was like half white, half red, or half blue, and just kind of looked like a pill. And then you put your pills inside this big old capsule and just like have the band logo on it. I always thought that was a neat idea. So
Yeah, yeah, Meatbird's got a hot sauce soon. Yeah, all I'm waiting is the stickers. I gotta, get I gotta make sure the ingredient list is in the proper order and everything, and the allergens are all. I don't want anyone to get sick or injured off of our hot sauce.
Don't
um,
have any problems with it. No, no, no legal issues. Like, oh boy, that
it
would
should be fine.
there you
It's yeah, and
go.
it's delicious too. I tried it a little taster after the year of aging, and oh boy, I'm gonna add a little salt, but it's great.
That's cool, man. I would like to like if you when you put it out, let me know because I wanna buy a bottle and check it
I'll
out.
send it over to you.
I appreciate that.
Um,
So,
but yeah, Meatbird's coming out with a hot sauce, and the first 5 tracks of the next album are in progress. They're really really big. It's the first album was kind of big sounding, but I was I don't want to say it didn't meet expectations per se. It was just like I was already onto bigger ideas by the time that album was done.
mhm.
And so this one is closer to what I wanted it to be
Yeah.
in a way. And then I was also like so excited about getting it done that I'm like, all right, 10 songs is just, it's so big that let's get 5 songs done and put them out while this next chunk is getting written,
Sure, yeah.
because this thing will take like 7 years if we try to do all of it at once, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
What do you mean by
It's
that? Like production wise or just the arrangement? Like,
for one, there's a lot of changes with tempo and
okay.
switch ups and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I do. I don't like to say polyrhythms because people think like gent and math rock and stuff like that, and that's not what it is. It's just like it's kind of slow. It's not like super highbrow, like not that nerdy. It's a little nerdy.
Be a
Um,
little nerdy at least, you know. So
it's a little easy to overthink, honestly. And then our individual members live kind of far from each other.
mhm.
Um, so getting together to practice at all is a little tricky.
Right.
First off,
Yeah.
we got to get together to practice these little weird rhythms for one.
Oh yeah.
Um, in the first 5 songs, I think there's like probably 11 or 12 change ups on tempos and rhythms and stuff.
Yeah.
The real problem is that they're all very similar, and there's callbacks and repetitive things.
Right.
It's not that there's just like wild changes that are just like abrupt and out of nowhere. It's that there's thematic stuff that it's just like, oh, that's the thing they used in song 1. Oh, that's the thing they hinted at 2 songs ago.
Okay.
And like it's actually kind of confusing because not quite repetitive isn't quite the right word. It's just there's all these callbacks where it's like, oh, we're reusing that here. Oh, we're reusing that here.
Right.
Um, so that's that right there. It's some of it's
Sure.
like kind of hard to remember in that sense. It's all kind of orchestrated in a Stravinsky kind of way.
Okay.
And that's in that way, it's also kind of big sounding. Uh, and then there's, I wouldn't call it friction, but we went into the studio and we're having issues with the fact that we didn't record to a click track. And if I wish bands didn't have to record to a click track. I'm just going to leave it at that. They did just fine before the 80s without a click track,
I think so too. Yeah. I
and
can.
I'm not going to get mad.
No, it is what it is. So
Um, so anyway,
fair enough.
I kind of stood firm on that, and then now it's kind of causing hurdles apparently.
Yeah.
So and there's just one little part in one song that's just maybe a slight hiccup for us, and then so that's like one thing there.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, with the added fact that we all live far apart, there's the studio we had started recording at is also equally far from everybody. Uh, so we'll tack that on there. The drum tracks are now being sent to our guitarist who knows the guitar parts but wants to add polish, for example.
Okay.
That's going to add a few weeks. He wants to get it real perfect, which I love. I'm going to let him take his 2 weeks to do it right.
Yeah.
But that's, we want it to be done right. Maybe not perfect. We want it to sound human.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, I don't want to say perfection takes time, but humanity takes time, I guess.
Right. you don't want to
and
rush.
so
Like
on.
you're feeling really good about this album, and you're going, look, I don't want to feel like I'm rushing anything or overlooking anything or just going, oh, that'll be fine. You know what I mean? One of those situations where you're going, no, this feels right. Let's keep just this flow going, no matter what.
And one thing I'm going to do more carefully this time is I learned a lot of what not to do
Mm-hmm.
recording this last one. I've recorded a lot. Been in the studio with multiple bands, but this is my baby this time. I was writing these songs before I had the members, and I went out kind of picking everybody for this one. It's a little different. So on the first album, I was like kind of pearl clutching and like wanting everything to be a little too perfect. And so the album, you could hear that it's a little robotic. Um, and that's what I asked everyone to do. So that's what came out of it.
Fair enough.
I I can't really complain because it's super polished and it's exactly what I asked of them.
Good.
This album, I'm being a little more careful. I want to make sure it sounds like human beings made it, and I want there to be little, maybe not mistakes per se, but maybe you hear when he hits the fret a little weird. Maybe we leave
A
that
little
take in there.
a little rawness, a little. I mean, you want it to sound good, but a little rough around the edges, so it feels, something.
Yeah, we're not playing blast beats. We're not doing any of that stuff. I don't I don't want that
Of course.
really.
Yeah.
I want little like little tastes of the double bass and whatnot, and then there are parts with blast beats, but they're kind of slow because I I also feel like we're in this weird era where metal is. It feels like we're all in the Olympics.
Hmm.
Um, Everyone's competing for who has the fastest or
Yeah.
who has the highest pitch snare,
Yeah.
who screams the highest or the longest or the lowest, whose guitar tone is the best, and it just makes me roll my eyes.
I think so.
um just write a good song and shut up. Like,
I think we live in an age where it's like if you got a gimmick, then it's gonna get they're you know what I mean? Like when you hear
that's
like
another good point.
Lorna Shore, where it's like, oh, you have this guy that has all these weird vocal fluctuations and can sound like a pig at times. But again, we kind of live in this age where it's like you'll get noticed if you got a gimmick, and we kind of just go, you know, can music just be music? Like that's how I've always thought. Like if it sounds good, if it feels good, if I love it, great. But unfortunately, in this
Or
age of
if
social media,
you there's like cut all the instruments, say a few buzzwords, breakdown cuts in,
mhm.
like, and then you're like, oh, here's the Instagram reel that has that part isolated down to 30 seconds, and you send that to your friend. Check out how brutal this is.
Yep,
Like, that's not how we should be listening to music.
I
That's weird.
agree. And it's kind of been kind of a sloppy thing. I don't know. Some people benefit from it. I've talked to other artists where it's like, well, doing content, this is kind of my bread and butter. It's what keeps my music relevant and stuff. But I think at a certain point, you just got to let the music speak for itself because then you get noticed for that one song, that in particular thing where it's the gimmick, the clip, the whatever and it's like, no, I think music should be a much broader picture than just being this sort of weird snippety type thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does. It makes me feel bad for. There's plenty of examples, but like Whip It,
Mm-hmm.
poor Devo.
Oh, poor Devo. Poor Devo. They've gone through such. I mean, great. I'm glad they're getting their money's worth and
Yeah,
still staying relevant all these years.
and
But
there's
people,
plenty of others.
yeah,
That
people
was just
dance.
one of the first that popped into my head.
Damn, like people dance into that shit. And even like during, I remember when the Cramps got big after Wednesday came out, and people were
Mhm.
doing dance to Goo Goo Muck. But then there was a shift where Lady Gaga did the dance, but to one of her songs, and then that song overshadowed the Cramps. And I'm like, well, why not?
Huh.
I mean, they had their like kind of their 15 minutes, but then it was just like they were just like, oh no, that's too this. Let's kind of re-envision it this with this, and it's just like, it's a weird time that we live in.
It is weird. Um, so I had gotten onto this new sort of idea based on that. I deactivated the Meatbird page and my own, kind of based on this.
Hmm.
I I had gotten this kind of wild idea into my head based on that and some other just like event type things.
Sure.
I was kind of thinking if we have anything to say, I think I'm just going to reactivate the page, post it for a little while, and then deactivate
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with. Like I said, it's no.
because then people know about it. And if, a few people know about it, they'll pass it along, word will get out, and then
I
that'll
think
be it.
I think I know a few musicians that are like, I think, do Ian, who was in Shitbird?
Yeah.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
know,
Ian, I know pretty well. I played drums and Pest with Ian
yeah,
a few times off and on. Yeah.
yeah, and then Nervous Gender, those guys from Nervous
Hmm.
Gender. Okay, so like I said, if you're like, look, I really don't feel comfortable reactivating my social media. I think I need a break from it. Don't worry about feeling like you have to do something just to kind of push the interview. You do what you got to do to, be happy and be comfortable, and just, again, a
It,
lot of the great things about California is that in that scene is that everybody, it's a very word of mouth. Everybody's really connected and they stay real tight together. So I really
oh
think,
yeah.
with a lot of the artists that I've had on in the past who are part of that sort of South California, they will do what they can to kind of network. And of course, I'll send it to them and go, hey, kind of push this if you can. They're willing to do a little bit of sharing and moving around just to kind of get the word out for you.
I'm more doing this because I'm feeling like just better about things. It's more like I don't give a shit about the numbers and whatnot going up
Oh
right
yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
just what am I doing opening Instagram over and over? It's just my monkey brain is all it is really.
yeah.
So like it's more like a symptom of things going better is having this stuff deactivated. So like if I don't it's more like, oh, I have something to say. I was on a podcast. Let me post this and then leave it up for a little while and then I'll get rid of it again.
Sure, that's fine.
Um, because I don't need to be checking it otherwise. It's just war stuff and like war and then memes back and
Mhm.
forth. And then I want to participate in stuff, but Instagram isn't where I need to be hopping on my soapbox. I can be going out and participating.
Oh yeah,
I do go out there and help out with things now
good.
in the physical world. Um, I've done enough commenting on Instagram politically, you know. So
And it's a
I
weird thing where you can get on and it doesn't feel like there's much momentum when you're trying to post on Instagram, because it just seems like a place where people go to argue. But if you're out and you're going, let's be a community and work together and kind of have this sit down and converse and stuff like that. It's just weird that social media just kind of becomes this, I don't know, like it's just it goes nowhere. It just becomes like, let's
yeah,
all sit around and argue the whole time.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's
And
it's tough.
all yeah, all it's doing is making just here's some people that agree with you and here's some more people that disagree with you. uh I don't know if that's super helpful. It's
Not
just
healthy.
diverting in either
It's not, yeah, it's
direction.
not healthy to keep seeing. And again, I've been kind of working on that where it's like and it comes up a lot on the podcast where it's like sometimes I just need to put the phone down and just get away from it, or kind of figure out how to weed out. But the algorithms are so fucked where it's like, they'll just.
I do want to say though,
Mhm.
some of my political comments, like my especially when I'm like insulting people, whew, I was good at that. Some of my friends saw them,
Getting some
but
burns.
yeah, I
Yeah.
could like just roast people. But I had to stop after a while. It was making my eye twitch and whatnot. So it's that it's just like I wanted to get to where like I don't open my phone, open Instagram. There's the muscle memory thing. I want to get rid of that. And then yeah, I'm like feeling better. I want to like wake up in the morning and then just like go sit on the front step or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like not thinking Instagram first.
And you have a great you like to go on like nature walks and shit like that. Like you'll walk around the creeks and like tell me about kind of how that started. I mean, I was kind of, doing my research on your, social media, and you have some great pictures of walking by streams and up the mountains and all that type of shit. Tell me kind of where that started.
I used to be in like Boy Scouts and stuff.
There you go.
That's a lot of when you're Mormon, you Boy Scouts is like kind of hand in hand.
Okay.
Um, you are a member of the Mormon priesthood, and usually the other like guys in the priesthood next to you are also just Boy Scouts in the same troop as you, pretty much. So you'll end up going with those same guys on trips. And then kind of tied to that, because Mormons have a lot of money and a lot of members with a lot of money, you end up going on like cooler Boy Scout trips. My parents weren't one of the Mormons with a lot of money,
Yeah.
but I got to go on really cool Boy Scout trips back then.
Yep.
So I did get a taste for kind of like roughing it and going to like cool places. There was like one time where like we went on like a 6 day backpacking trip with a bunch of freeze dried stuff. It was up in Utah and whatnot.
Whoa.
Uh, like cool stuff like that. So I do like going out, and I like being in like the wilderness type of danger where I know how to get out of that kind of danger.
Yeah.
Being in the city, I don't feel quite as comfortable. I'm like, I don't know this kind of danger.
Yeah.
Like I'll be okay. Like I'm not scared of like fight type danger. It's just like this isn't the type of danger I'm familiar with. Um, but
Yeah, I
like
get
when I'm out in the woods, I'm like, yeah, I know how to treat first aid type stuff. This is fine. And I also like right now live near a lot of it. Ukaipa is at the foot of a couple of different mountain ranges, and then we have two different canyons right by me as well. There's some foraging you can do around here. Actually, that's one of the coolest hobbies that I would recommend to anybody who lives near kind of any sort of nature or whatever. Try to look up like plants that live near you that you can just eat. You can Google a lot of this and see, like, look up maybe whatever reserve is maybe close by, and there might be some kind of herb growing near you that you can just eat. It's kind of surprising. You might be caught off guard with like a list of things. It's just like, oh, you make a tea out of this that makes you horny or whatever, like random stuff like that.
sprinkle it in some
But
some soup.
right.
Soup.
Um, one time we went out on this hike about 10 minutes from our house, and we found enough like lettuce and some other stuff to make like a salad for dinner that day.
Whoa.
So that's kind of cool. So like that's another interesting thing, being poor and feeding yourself still off of the land that I didn't even grow it. I just found it.
Found it.
That was kind of cool.
That's so cool.
But yeah, I like going out in nature because A, it's completely free and I can't drive. But B, I do like that element of danger that I can control,
Sure.
because there are lots of elements of danger that I can't control right now, like my seizures and whatnot. And it's kind of a bit of a therapy thing for me.
Yeah.
Um, it's always been like that. So yeah, I've been in a good balance of outdoors and indoors. I like that sort of thing. Um, and I also wish I had like animals again. I just live in this tiny place with cats, but back when I had a dog, I would probably be out with a dog walking around with me as well and all that sort of stuff. I just got a bike though, and I live near like miles and miles of some really really cool bike trails. So
Very cool.
uh, it might be worth reactivating my account to post a little bit of that stuff,
I hope so, because
possibly.
you got some like you were a fun follow just because you were kind of like you had a lot of variety between a lot of your nature walks, and then you amazing artist. Just what was your sort of method? Where you did you do? I'm trying to think. Was it like ink? Was it like kind of sharp? Like what kind of art was your? I'm trying to find the right word to say, but what was your kind of like your default art? Did you really paint, or was it just like I don't know. I'm trying to find the right word because I don't know much about art, but I know there's like different types of pens
I
and
don't
shit.
either.
Okay.
um,
So, but anyways, you
I
really did post a lot of your great art, and it was Amazing.
I use a lot of Sharpies.
Okay, Sharpies. There, that's what
So
I was
good call
thinking.
there, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I there's not like a particular paper or whatever. I'll find it's usually a photo as a source. I will I have to like draw something for someone lately. I've noticed. I've been having a hard time just making a new piece,
Okay.
but like a year or so ago, that was kind of working just fine for me. But in the last year, it had to have been like something a little more meaningful. The last like maybe 3 or 4 art pieces I've done, which is kind of new for me.
Oh wow.
Um, but yeah, historically, yeah, it was just like I had been feeling kind of like, oh, songs aren't working for me, so I need to make something kind of out there.
Sure.
So anyway, usually yeah, it starts with a Sharpie. There were some times where I would make the photo and I go, okay, this is close to the original idea I had in my brain. Most of the time, I move into like a digital step where I start messing with it and I might just like do some cosmetic stuff and clean up the lines because I'm just like self-conscious about it looking kind of dirty and not that neat or whatever. I shouldn't be, but whatever.
It is.
Uh, it is what it is. And then other times I'll finish the Sharpie part of it and I will have put like 2 hours of work into it and it looks like complete dog shit. And I go, oh man, this is bad. But I have that sunk cost fallacy where I go, I still have to figure out how to use that.
Of course.
And so what I'll do is I'll put it through like I'll find silly like mobile apps or something like a kaleidoscope app or the like, and I'll my cat just almost
No,
ate
you're
it
great.
next to me.
It's funny. I get a lot of people who are like the cats will just hop up on the desk and walk past them. It's become like if anybody has a cat, the cat likes to be part of the podcast. So you're
He
good.
almost completely fell over. It was hilarious. He would have made a complete fool of himself.
Watch it be the
Um,
first time he hops onto your little thing back
right.
there and he finally sleeps on it. You're like, oh wow, Jesus, no.
There's two of them, and it's the one that I didn't think was going to want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, yeah, that sunk cost fallacy where I go, I have to use this somehow. So I'll put it through a kaleidoscope or something weird,
Mhm.
and then I'll find like a photo or something with a weird subject where I'll go, oh, this is some innocuous, silly thing in my phone, but then I'll delete the background or I'll do something else weird and
Right.
then insert this new kaleidoscope thing that I just made
Yep.
in layers or something like. And so basically I'll go 10% of the thing I just drew and then go like 90% digital instead.
Fair enough.
And so I'll do the rest of the legwork with the digital step.
Yeah.
So I'll still force myself to use the thing that I just made that completely sucks and like I'll make myself make
Enjoy
it
it. Yeah.
pretty
Yeah, you make it feel
anyway
like okay, this is it went this direction, but let's bring it to a point where I go, this is great. I like this now.
out of sheer force of will. Yeah. I just go, no, I will make myself make
I'll make
this.
myself love this. I'm gonna force it.
Yeah.
Oh shit. That's hilarious.
um, so yeah, they're like the cat skull one. The
Mhm.
background on the one that's a cat skull that I had posted for a while was just a terrible Sharpie drawing that I had just mutilated in the background. And then I took a picture of a cat skull, um, deleted the background and pasted it over that, and then did some more digital stuff. And then it came out looking actually really cool at the end.
That's cool.
Um, there was another one. It was kind of the same thing. Background I had manipulated into some weirdness, and then I was working at Small Barn making falafel balls,
Wow.
and I had rolled hundreds of them in a row. And the pattern on my hand was interesting because it was covered in falafel, but there was one spot in the middle of my palm that had worn down and had no falafel in it, and it was like this black hole of no falafel. And so I took a picture of it because it looked cool.
Yeah.
And then I had messed around with that picture and then layered that over the weird photo that I had kaleidoscopes, and I was like, oh, that's actually really cool. And it's just this falafel hand, basically. But yeah, I get a little creative, and it's mostly sometimes it's like, oh, I drew this very well, and sometimes it's like, oh no, this is actually complete garbage that I forced into looking cool.
Yeah.
It's just a little mix of both sometimes.
Well, mixed media. Yeah, that's pretty
I do
cool.
that with my beats every now and then. I'll make something terrible, and I'll come back to it 4 months later, and I'll go, no, I can make this sound good.
You kind of tweak
Um,
at it.
and I'll sit at it for hours until it sounds good.
There you
Um,
go.
but yeah, that's how my art works. Is there's some times where I go start to finish, this whole process went very well, and I barely need to do anything. The last four have kind of been like that, where I go, oh, this I moved through this entire process with intention, and start to finish, this came out exactly how my brain intended, and that's really cool.
That is cool.
And then there's been times where I go, this isn't even close to what I was thinking. And so I go, all right, let's maybe pivot here.
Yeah. What back to music, what was your sort of your stepping stones when you started, were you kind of when you were oh god, when you were kind of digging into music and you're like learning the instruments, what artists really just kind of stood out for you?
There have been a few. My my dad has been a Styx fan since
Wow.
forever.
Yep.
That was one of the first live shows I ever went to, was to go see Styx at House of Blues, um, which I coincidentally played at that venue later on.
That's
Kind of cool, little
Scared of
came
the
full
Dead.
circle.
Yeah.
Uh, Styx was like, it's funny because when you're a kid, you just like what your parents,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, put in
Everyone's
front of you.
Yep.
I loved Styx for a long time, and then I'm a teenager, and I'm like, Styx is like kind of dorky. And then I saw him live,
Yeah.
and I was like,
There's
Styx
something.
is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
and then I had another, like a second time, where I was like, Styx is dorky. And then here I am in my 30s
Yeah.
again going, Styx is actually kind of cool.
Actually cool, right? That dilemma that's in your head.
So this is kind of great. I'm on like my fourth phase of Styx transformation. So that's been just off and on kind of my whole life.
Yeah.
Styx, that's one. I've always been into some weird kind of fringe-ish stuff. Mostly, it's not necessarily to piss off my parents
Sure.
per se, because I never wanted to get caught listening to certain things. It would just be there were dire consequences.
Yeah.
I used to have a clock radio that I plugged into the outlet that was below my bed up against the wall,
Yeah.
and I could run it up to my pillow, and I hid it under my pillow. And then at night I could turn it to like the volume was 2, and then I would untuck it from my pillow and lay my head on it at 2 volume and listen to my radio
Yep.
when I was
Been
supposed
there.
to be sleeping,
Yeah, we
when
had
they were
the
playing the more inappropriate stuff at night.
earbuds. Yeah,
um
I used to do that too. Yeah.
Fix this microphone real quick, because that's when they were allowed to play a little bit more like suggestive content
Yep.
and whatnot, and you're Mormon, so you're not allowed to,
Yep.
you know,
Been there.
we weren't allowed to tell each other to shut up, even, like that
Oh,
was completely
yeah.
taboo. It was
Mhm.
very strict.
Yeah. I
um
had posters, like I would get magazines and I'd put posters of artists that I like, and I had Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, shit like that. And my parents, again, I grew up in that sort of strict religious household, and they pulled them down, and they hated.
mm,
I was born and raised in that sort of weird, strict Christian, So I get
the
famous artists.
the merch never would have made it into the house for
No.
us. um so I was getting into, I still remember the first time I heard Hurt by Nine Inch Nails and just being like, whoa, this is weird. Like,
Mhm.
I was way into that.
Yep.
Um, in school, I had a really cool art teacher that would like, on like on like Fridays or whatever, it would be like a movie day. He brought in the acoustic Nirvana session.
Oh, the
That
unplugged.
was pretty cool, seeing that for the first time. Getting into grunge and things like that was a big deal, like it is for quite a few people.
One in middle school.
Um, one thing though was adjacent to learning guitar and all that, my dad, my biological dad, the DJ, he had a lot of sequencers and things like that. So I've always been messing with sequencers and into some of the electronic stuff while I was learning guitar. So people always see me with the guitar in my hands and I'm always rocking out, and they like that's the front facing stuff.
Mhm.
But like in my headphones and like behind the scenes, I always listen to like techno and like all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
me too. Yeah.
So really like some of my bigger influences are a lot of I when you say EDM, it's I'm not gonna say it's EDM per se, but I do actually listen to like old school like drum and bass and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some fringe like maybe like Venetian snares is a decent example.
EDM type stuff.
IDM is a good, yeah. I there's actually this kind of cool new one called Bajalvin that's like a weird, harsh, like dubstep. I dubstep is another one where you say dubstep and people go like dubstep, what the hell? It's new. Don't worry. It's like it sounds interesting again. So
Yeah,
like,
I got into it heavy, 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 heavy back then.
oh,
Yeah.
I think my cat unplugged my microphone.
No, you're good.
Okay,
You're
plugged
coming in
back in.
clear
That
now.
was
You're
my
good.
cat.
It's okay.
Um,
But yeah, I went through a whole
and
dubstep like that's and believe me, I think we share that sort of thing where I grew up a drummer, always played drums, rock. I was always in rock bands, blah blah blah. But in here has always been electronic. I've synthesizers, anything electronic, industrial. That's the heart of music for me.
yeah.
Electronic, yeah.
So as a teenager, I would say the biggest electronic would have been Nine Inch Nails. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Nine Inch Nails and then System of a Down were side by
Oh
side.
yeah.
And then as my tastes got a little more refined, I got more, hipster with it. And I was like, no, I need to like more rare stuff. And
Sure.
I started trying to be cooler
Digging,
and
crate digging. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
almost to the point of like the gatekeeping type of person. Then I realized like, oh, people don't like that.
No.
Um, and so I started calming down a little bit.
Yeah.
I became a Zappa fan over time as well, and I've been getting into this has been going on for a while actually, but
He's got a deep discography. It's hard to
yeah.
really, yeah, I get it.
Um, and then I do have uh, a pretty secret but solid love for like kind of soft and romantic type stuff and
Okay.
some of the more melodic things. I really love early local natives. I like a lot of I do like Midwest emo.
Mhm.
I like jazzy things and R&B. Uh who is it? Um SZA. I really like
Mhm.
SZA.
Yeah.
Um and then quite a few just random ones. Eve's Tumor is a really cool experimental artist with it's like MPC loop based rock, which is kind of interesting.
Huh.
Really like spacey, goosebump inducing, like garage rock, R&B. It's crazy.
Wow.
But that's a very new one for me.
Check that out.
But overall, it's always been things that are a little bit repetitive with maybe two different grooves going on all the time. It's always been something where it's two sides of the same coin. I've noticed pretty much my whole life. Sticks, even Sticks, like one of my first bands that I could say was my favorite back then, they always have had like two sides of the same song where it's like there's a groove and then there's a counter groove,
Mhm.
um all the way up until I used to be I had my Tool phase, and
Oh yeah,
then
yeah.
after Tool was Meshuggah. I don't think we'll
Yeah.
ever stop. Gotta love Meshuggah.
Oh, I love Meshuggah.
And then and so on.
Mhm.
I think now Meshuggah is kind of passing the torch on to Car Bomb,
Oh
is
yeah,
the modern one. Car Bomb is so cool.
so good.
um but I think in general the theme has been the groove and counter groove thing has been my life kind of the entire time,
Yeah,
as far as my favorite bands go.
that's cool.
um and that's been I don't know if there's ever been a real singular influence other than if you write two different rhythms going on at the same time, I'm pretty much into it, kind of, because I'm just a geek like that. Like
No, you're
I'm just
fine
nerdy.
because there's a lot of artists that they try and go, it's since my music sounds like this, it's this. And it's like, no, I think as we get older and we grow, we're going, again, I think you and me are in sync with this whole. Instead of Styx, it was like Pink Floyd for me or Zeppelin, and
Okay, yeah.
so that was kind of the first stone was Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, that type of thing, and then it started going. Okay, let me find my own music on the radio and da da da. And then once I was kind of introduced into the internet, then I started was like, okay, what else is out there? I keep digging, 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 and it's yeah. I mean, it's all along the same stuff. And as you get older, you're following that. I call it chasing the musical dragon, where you're trying to find like what's my new favorite thing. Let me go down this genre, let me go down that genre, let me figure this out. Oh, I heard about that, let me pick that up. So I think we're always just evolving and growing, and I think it's smart that you said my musical instinct and my attraction is the groove and counter groove. I think a lot of artists don't really bring that up, where they're going, I like I like this and I follow this, and this is what influences my music. Like I think it's one of those rare things I haven't heard before, and I think that's great that you brought it into the podcast.
I it's not really a bad thing, but
No.
people get real excited about their favorite people, kind of,
Oh yeah.
and I do too. I when I There's days where I'm just like, I'm gonna do the dishes and put on my headphones real loud and put on some, whoever that might be that day, and I'm gonna get some goosebumps and drink my coffee and so on, because that's awesome.
Yes.
Um, but like when I'm writing music, I got to make sure, like, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that right before I write a song.
You want to copy and
Um,
paste? No, I have a problem with doing that. I do that often, where it's like, oh, I
and
feel like I'm trying to sound too much like this.
and also, like, I it would make me feel guilty saying one thing was my influence when I'm also not 19 anymore per se. I have to remind myself that I'm 35.
That's okay. I just turned 40, so believe me, it's just like, oh yeah, that's right. Like mentally, I'm like somewhere else, but age wise, I'm just like, oh yeah, I guess I am that age now. Like, it's hard to kind of come to terms with that with your age when mentally you're like, I'm not, I don't feel it. Like, so.
Yeah, it's weird. The yeah. And then yeah, we're playing these shows like the Bold Villain show I brought up a little bit ago. Oops, there we go. Um, we're excited to play it and stuff, and there's like looks like a lot of people, but we're looking at these other bands and they're like in their uh 18 to 25 range, the members, and we're looking at each other like we're in our 30 to 37 range, and we're like, oh my god, guys.
I think that's all like kind of in your. I mean, it's always one of those things where it's in your head, but I think a lot of
Like, who
artists
really
are
cares?
right, and most people in the scene don't really give a shit about age. It's just like as long as we're keeping the
Just
scene
don't be
alive.
weird.
Yeah, so it happens.
Yeah, don't be weird. We're not gonna be weird. It'll be fine.
What's the scene out there in California? Are you still in Southern California? Like, what's the music scene like out there right now?
um so for one, it's hard for me to always participate in the scene right now because I've been like scrambling for a ride lately.
Yeah.
And then in around the time of COVID, it was like kind of weird because it was simultaneously it was picking up and slowing down with the shows, getting crowded and then slowing down. Um, in 2021 or 22, I actually had like a whole meltdown on stage. Oopsie. Thought I pushed a button, but we're good. I had like a whole meltdown on stage at this backyard show, um, where basically the front row of a couple people, the crowd, there's no stage. It's just on dirt or whatever. It's one of those.
Mhm.
But they're crowding me and they're stomping all over my cables. My pedals are right there. Not to be too prissy, but one of those pedals is $480, and I am starting to get like real, like, guys, please back away. Then I have a guy behind me who started groping me, and I started freaking out. And that's the first time I've ever smashed a guitar. So sorry, I'm a
No,
little
you're
choked
good.
up.
No, you're good.
Um, so I actually started checking out of shows for a while and stopped paying attention to them.
Hmm.
So the scene, not that this is tied to how I started feeling about shows, it's not related to me.
Of course.
I actually noticed the scene took a little bit of a dip and started building back up recently. Um, just these things ebb and flow, sort of. And it's recently back on the upswing with some new artists coming out.
Good.
Um, and then like it's not that I dislike ska, but there's like, for whatever reason, some ska bands
The
coming
boost.
back up and they're crushing it lately.
Oh yeah,
uh,
it's another
so
wave.
I
Yeah.
right, and I see that it's back on the upswing where it might go kind of, it's kind of popping again.
Mhm.
I have another sort of opinion on this. We just took some pretty serious military action that might cause it's a war.
Oh yeah.
And when these big old stressful events like this happen, our economy is, this big old bubble is going to pop. We're already, feeling it
Oh yeah.
as far as our bank accounts, but it's going to get real shitty soon.
Mhm.
Um, these shows and stuff, we have a reason to be, feeling, letting go of tension and writing songs and having a good time at the shows. People are going to start showing up, I feel like. So
Oh yeah.
whenever stuff in the world gets tense, I think the scene actually gets a little healthier because people need to
Yeah.
show up for each other.
Be a
And
safe haven, and yeah.
it is a little tenuous because it's also a good time for people to start making sure we watch out for each other and all that. So right now, I think in Southern California, we're on the upswing of where there's music coming out and there's people like looking for stuff to do that's maybe a little like, kind of like how I go out in the wilderness. It's a little dangerous,
Yeah.
but it's a controlled type of danger,
Yeah. Sure. Of
like
course.
in the way that a punk show is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the music too, people have stuff inside that needs to come out, and so they're writing songs that are angry and pissed off. So there's more of it. It's just now we got to make sure we're watching out for each other and no one's getting hurt and becoming victims of shitty things in
Oh
general.
yeah.
So I had kind of checked out for a few years, but now that I'm getting my stuff in order and I'm like, I'm seeing a therapist too for, like that incident at the show came up in therapy already. I'm working through it.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in the food industry that I'm working through. So I'm kind
Oh,
of on the upswing myself.
yeah.
I'm able to maybe participate in some of these shows again.
Cool.
But like from what I'm seeing, we might actually have a pretty healthy scene here, like within this year, where it might be like really, really cool because
Boosting.
I can see it, growing more and more within even the last few months. It's been pretty impressive. It's just that we got to make sure people are just watching out for each other, like uh, the strong looking out for the weak and not taking advantage of each other and whatnot. Basic stuff.
And I think it's important that we, again, kind of build the community and kind of help each other out, especially like, if you need, hey, let's share the stage together. Hey, can you pick me up? Can you give me a ride? I think that sort of shift in the scene where it's a little bit more community based, I think it's starting to grow. And even from Missouri, there's been this big boost in Midwest emo again. And
Nice.
yeah, and it's great. Again, I feel like there's a scene coming alive now, and I
If I'm
think it
not
has.
mistaken, we had a band from the Midwest. It was a Midwest emo band from out there, like only 4 or 5 months ago. Came out and played a show with us. If
That's too cool.
I'm pretty sure it was out in LA,
That's awesome. Yeah, it's
but
great, and it's
super cool.
yeah, and it's just growing. Like I like seeing how the scene's growing, and again with this podcast, it's like I finally feel like I'm going, oh, these things are happening out there. There's sort of this, electronic industrial scene that's happening in Minnesota and all this other stuff. Like it's like okay,
That's
I think
awesome.
we're doing something. So I think it's great to see things are blossoming, and especially in a time where there's a lot of bullshit going on, and there's a lot of division, and it's just like I think there's a time where it's like when you see all that shit on social media and on the news, it's just like I think there's a time where we just go, okay, enough is enough, and then let me go out there and just be around people. Don't touch grass, fucking kick some grass. Let's have a punk
Yeah,
show. Let's all get a little wild, get a little crazy, and try and just blow off some steam like we used to.
right, right. I'm realizing this whole time there's been one kind of big thing that I didn't bring up, and it's like the only box I haven't checked really, because I'm like, oh, we've been going an hour and 15 now.
Yeah.
Um, but it's that rap album that I've been making
Yeah, go ahead.
instrumentals
Yeah,
for.
I have that written down. Go for it.
Yeah, it's this brand new thing. I kind of a new chapter type deal, but basically the vocalist in Bold Villain, um, it's a friend of his,
Hmm.
introduced me to him. He does vocals, he's a rapper. Oh, that was a coffee burp. Wow.
Good. Tasty.
He
Tasty.
it was all right. He's a vocal and he's a great vocalist and a great producer
Good.
who's strong in the areas in which I'm weak, which is awesome.
Good.
So we've been kind of linking up. I had made a beat on my SoundCloud like a little over a year ago, where I'm learning how to make beats a little exciting, and that was one of the first ones where I'm like, oh, this one pops a little bit. And he had just kind of gotten, you know, gotten in touch with me, and he's just like, hey, I might try to do a verse on this.
Collab. Yeah.
And then it was like 2 days later, he emails me. He's like, all right, it's done. And I was like, wow, that's cool. He's like, all right, I'm going to release it. And I'm like, okay. And it was really, really cool.
Wow.
I'm not sure which platforms he has it out on. It might not be out. It's fine because it was a one off thing.
Okay.
It's called Parasocial Psychosis, if anyone wants to check that out. But anyway, right now we are in the process of doing a 7-song EP called Midnight Climax.
Hmm.
It's under my artist name, Midnight Welfare,
Yeah,
and his artist name. Currently, he goes by Shoot Shit Like Cobain, but I think he was planning on changing it to Truman. Um, I he's ambiguous like that. He might be, but he's basically doing most of 100% of the vocal related things, and I'm doing most of 100% of the instrumentals. I
okay.
might do like a voiceover thing on an interlude track, but that's basically all of it. And this thing is super, super cool. It's a very esoteric, weird electronic rap album. Uh,
A little bit like surreal. Like it's gonna be like a very because you have a very like just dynamic like everything you do. It's very like it's got like a sort of surreal to it. So are you kind of bringing those elements to that?
yeah.
And is there anything like you're listening to kind of influence? Or are you just going, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of not listen to any rap and just kind of go with my gut here when it comes to doing the music, the
Um,
production on it.
a whole lot of breakcore
Okay.
for this one.
Yeah.
um, a whole lot of like repetitive stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, for whatever reason, electronic music done on analog equipment was working for me when I was making a lot of these beats. It was like the hiss on the analog stuff that you hear in some of the better recorded.
Yep.
It was like that stuff that was like getting into my brain, or so like my girlfriend hates this, but I love songs that have like screeches that are going the entire time. I can't even play it around my friends. It's like that's like by myself music
Yeah,
and
I
stuff like
get that.
that.
Yeah, I'll listen. I'll
Like
listen to like Merzbow in my ear. Like
right,
like if I play that, my wife would be like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" Like it's like
right.
my own personal where it's like it's the like noise music and like power electronics. It's like it goes in here because if I play that out there, people are going, "What the hell are you listening to?"
Yeah. There's this dude, DJ Speed Sick.
Hmm.
That one's a little more where you can have your friends over a
Yeah,
little bit,
yeah.
but there's some people where you're like, there's like, this doesn't work for my ears. Can you please like not? But he's, if I'm not mistaken, there's more analog going on with that. But and then in general, or like even just like super like speedcore stuff where that's just the nature of the song is to be screeching at you or certain things like that. And then it's that, and then certain like just like vinyl gangster rap stuff
Oh,
in the
cool.
same sense where things are where compression is used in like an